Good to see you.
Good morning, Jose, and thanks so much for having us on today.
Thanks. You've been so active in calling for the U.S. to do more to free Amir Hekmati, an American being held in Iran. It's so difficult. How do you think allowing private citizens to deal with hostage is going to help in any way?
Let me just tell you something, Jose. I think this bill that you saw, this whatever you call it, referendum, I don't know what he's calling it. It's a presidential...
Yeah, it's a change of policy.
Okay, it's change of policy is, first off, has been around since 2002. Number two, I think it's like a bait and switch, a canard, a hoodwink here. There's nothing really changed. And when it comes to Amir and the four that have been in the highlighted the most recently in the press, those four right there, along with, Amir Hekmati, Reverend Abedini, with the Washington Post reporter, Mr. Razayan, okay, those four, they're not hostages. Let's get this straight. The government puts them in a different category. These guys are really considered detainees. Why? Because they have been found guilty by a government that's recognized around the world as a legitimate government, and so we are not going to argue whether or not they're holding him because of the charges that they put on him were legitimate or not. So he's not even a hostage. So I don't even understand, and we've been reading this document over and over and over again this morning. I don't really believe there's been any change in policy. I think this was just done so that come the 30th, when the four others aren't released, there's something of an excuse that this administration can fall back on.
And you're talking about the 30th because that's the cutoff period, supposedly, although that probably could be extended, that the U.S., G+5, are having their agreement with Iran on the nukes.
Yes, sir. And, tonight, I and I've been invited by two of the members of Amir's family to go with them over to London and then on to Vienna, so that we can see if we can gain some international support for the illegal holding of a citizen like Amir Hekmati. Now, we've got to reach outside of the United States government to get other governments to see if they can help us release an American Marine, which to me I think is absolutely ridiculous, but we're going to do it. And why? I'm telling you, your followers can follow me on, Montel_Williams. You follow me on Twitter. I will give you reports on an ongoing basis. We already have some interviews right now set up with some of the biggest press outlets in Europe because they're interested to figure out why is it that your government would allow a person who served in the military to have another government reach into his life and arrest him just for wearing a United States uniform.
But listen, Montel, this is what I understand. I mean, the United States government has dealt with this. For example, you want to talk about a government holding an American, Alan Gross in Cuba.
Yes.
He was there held for 5 years. The American government negotiated. And there was, you can call it a quid pro quo or not, but he was released. Why is it that in this case, this gentleman and others are being held and nothing seems to be putting pressure on the government to do something about it?
Remember, you helped us, Jose, when we talked about Andrew Tamarisi, who was held in Mexico, and the government did nothing about him. So Governor, former Governor Richardson, myself, Congressman Royce, Congressman Salmon, in a really bipartisan way, went down there and tried to negotiate, and we helped get him out. He got out. Now, in this case, here again, another Marine. I don't understand, and no one does. That's the reason why this evening, for the next 5 or 6 days, I'm going to go over and try to figure out if we can glean some international support and get this Marine released. And think about this from any other perspective. Any other person in the world would say, how can you reach into my family lineage, claim me to be a citizen of your country, and arrest me for serving in the military of the country I call my own? It's ridiculous, but that's what we're doing. So please, follow us. Let your viewers know.
You're leaving tonight?
Tonight.
All right, listen, we'll keep up with you, and let's make sure that you let us know how that's going, because it's just extraordinary. I mean, this is still going on.
One last thing, if your viewers can just please go up on giveforward.com/free Amir. Help this family bring home a Marine that our government